Thank you, Matt. It was actually it was both fun and hilarious at the same time that you kept calling during, and it's kind of my dream. I love navigating people. I don't know what it is, but when there's someone that maybe appears to be lost, I'm like, can I help you? Can I help you get to a destination? Because I would very much like to. Even if I don't know where I'm going, I still would like to help people, and so, which isn't helpful, I've learned, but it was really fun. My roommate and I were watching this TV show. We had an hour, and it just kept, the phone kept ringing, and my ringer is never on, and I was like, where are you at, Matt? Where are you at? Tell me your location, look around, what do you see? But the time and effort that it took to navigate campus, just I think is a really great reflection of the pastor that you have here, who is willing not only to encourage you to do things, to make cookies and do things like that, but he's on the ground doing it. And I see him a lot on the ground, putting in effort and work that honestly, it would be really easy not to do. So that's a testimony to Matt. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for allowing me to come and meet you all this morning. And so it really is a gift to be with you. I am excited. So if you don't know, I think you've heard, but my name is Bridget Hedinger, and I have the privilege of getting to work full-time with college students at Ball State and East Indiana, and actually around the world, and it's very exciting. I was telling someone earlier, though, the one hard part about campus ministry is that they are always 18 to 22, and I am not always 18 to 22. And so I used to be, they used to be like, well, Bridget, you know, what do you study? And I was like, oh, actually, I graduated. And now they're like, oh, are you somebody's mom here? And I'm like, no. But I'll be your fun aunt. Do you want that? So I love getting to work with college students. They really are incredible. And you'll hear from a college student today and get to see firsthand what God is doing through the campus. But I did want to share with you two things that happened last week that actually broke my heart. And the first one, last Wednesday, I got a text from my roommate. She also works with Cru, and she was leading this Bible study in a dorm. And she sent us, my roommates, a text like, hey, just so you know, a student's going to be here. She's really seriously considering ending her life tonight, and so I'm just going to have her be at the house with us. And what's kind of hard is it didn't faze me that much because that kind of thing happens a lot. And then the next day, I met with a student that I love dearly, and I was asking her how she was, and she said, well, actually, it's been a pretty rough couple weeks. And so she had this friend from class who had invited her over to his house to play some cards with some people. And he handed her a drink when she walked in, and she remembers going to the bathroom, and she doesn't remember anything until she woke up in his bed the next morning. Whew, it was a rough week. And I've been thinking about this, and it's not isolated. These are students within our ministry. And I'm wondering, the students outside of it, what's going on? And I look at the statistics, and I wonder, what do we do with the reality that says statistically 1 out of every 12 students has made a plan to commit suicide? How do we handle the statistics that say roughly 1 in every 4 women will experience a sexual assault on campus? The truth is that students need hope, lasting and eternal hope. They need to be restored into a relationship with God who knows them and loves them, and they need help from other people to get through this world. There's an epidemic in our world of loneliness, of pain. Actually, I don't know if you've heard statistics. Actually, in the UK, they created a department of loneliness because it was such a problem that they've within the government are trying to figure out how to address people's loneliness needs. There's an epidemic of loneliness, of pain, of trauma, assault, and people need a community to show them that God really loves them. A community to bring restoration and healing. People to sit with them so they don't hurt themselves. People to show them how much worth that they have because the God of the universe gave his life to buy them. People to hug them and to cry with them and to love them through their pain and their trauma. They need to experience the love of Jesus through his hands and his feet, which is us. And as we do this, the world will see that Jesus is Lord and that we are his disciples. And that's what we're trusting God here at Ball State and in Muncie and throughout the world. We're trusting him to turn lost students and faculty and to transform them into lifelong laborers for Christ. We want to see a life-changing community that is centered on Christ right here on campus, but that it doesn't just stay on campus, but it goes everywhere our students go, and they go to the world. And we want to see, our dream is that Ball State University, and we're actually at a lot of campuses in the East Indiana area, but what we want to see is that it would be like this missionary sending base, that the college students would be sent to go and make disciples of all the nations. And the good news is this isn't just a dream. It's not just something we hope will happen, but it is currently happening, and it has been happening. And God is working on the college campus. There is hope today. God is bringing hope, and he's bringing healing, and he's doing it through messy love. And I understand you have been talking about messy love here at Northside. And I don't know about you, but I feel like I believe this myth that loving people should be easy, right? That if you just really love them, it's just so easy to love people. But I experienced, and the Bible tells me that's actually not the way that it is. It doesn't always feel natural or painless or fun. The truth is, it's messy and it's hard and it requires sacrifice. And we know that's true because of how Jesus instructed us in his word to love. And so we can see in John 13:34-35, Jesus said to his disciples, he said, "This new commandment I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. And by this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another." And so that begs the question, how did Jesus tell us to love one another? Well, as he loved us. Well, how did Jesus love us? By giving up his life for us, by laying down his rights. He suffered. He was mocked. He was rejected by his best friends. He took on a body in a time, and I just think even when you think about the time that Jesus chose to come and live on this earth, right, it didn't seem like a really convenient time to live. They didn't even have, I was thinking, we were traveling to Charleston next week, and I've got my GPS out, and you're just going to plug it, and it's going to be fine. But I remember, and it was 15, 20 years ago, I was taking a spring break trip, and back then, it was great technology. We had MapQuest, and we printed it out, and we looked at my line, and then we got stuck in a traffic jam, so I pulled out my atlas, and I forged my own new path. But before then, we had the triptychs before then, you just kind of had to know where to go and call some people, I guess. I don't even know, but I think, boy, Jesus chose to come in a time where there wasn't a lot of indoor plumbing. There weren't modern technologies, that he lived among us, that he walked among us. And not only that, but he chose to suffer. And you look at the people he hung out with, you look at the way that he loved, he laid down his life because he knew that it wasn't about his comfort, it wasn't about his convenience, it was about doing the Father's will so that all would know and experience the eternal love of God. And that is how he has asked us to love one another. He's called us to a love that takes the time to cry with someone who's hurting, to speak truth to someone who's having a hard time believing it in grace, to give up our possessions so that someone else can have their needs met. And as we remember, and there's something in us, right, that wants to kind of hold all of our things to ourselves. I have this tendency, right, where when I get something and you want me to share it, I'm like, oh, I'm not naturally generous. Because I feel like there's this fear of, well, if I give, then will my needs be met? But when I understand that the God of the universe has said he will meet every one of my needs in Christ Jesus, when I understand that I have the love of the eternal God, the acceptance of him, his provision, then that actually frees me up to go, I know that he's taking care of me. Who needs to be taken care of? Maybe he wants to use me to do that. There's security as we trust him. And so when I think about the ministry, that's the kind of community that we want to see, a community that knows that we are loved and provided and cared for by the God of the universe. And as we look around, there are people who aren't experiencing that love, that are disconnected from him, and we want to bring them back to the relationship with God that they have always been created for. And when I think about the kind of community that I want to see at Ball State, but in our churches, in our really everywhere, this is the community I want to see everywhere. I think of the example we have in Acts 2, 42 through 47. It says, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and prayers. And awe came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles, and all who believed were together and had all things in common. And they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. And I love this. And day by day, attending temple together, breaking bread in their homes, they received their food with gladness and generous hearts, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved. This kind of love requires devotion to Jesus and his teachings. It involves sacrifice of time and energy and possessions. It requires to love as Jesus has loved us. But when we love that radically, people see it and they say, what is that? What is that? They say that there is something different about the way these people love. And their lives are changed. And so I actually have brought with me a student. Her name is Rachel. And I forgot to totally scroll through. I'm really sorry. Those are the verses. I'm not used to doing two things at once like this. But we'll bring Rachel up. And so Rachel is a student at Ball State, and she hates public speaking, but by faith has done this morning, so we can we can encourage her in that. But I wanted just to do a little interview because Rachel has been a part of Cru for 3 years now, 2 years-ish.
No, not even that. I would say I've been a part of Cru for about a year and a half now.
A year and a half. Okay. You've been at Ball State though. How long?
3 years.
3 years, okay. So, Rachel, why don't you just give us a little background? What is your spiritual background? What was it like growing up for you?
Yeah, so I did not grow up in the church at all. Like, my parents had both really been hurt by religion, and so they never really they never gave me anything, basically, to go off of like, oh yeah, this is what Christians believe, this is what, different religions are, so I just believed in science, basically, what I could see and feel and touch and stuff like that, because I'd never had like any kind of spiritual experience, like at all, basically. And about a year and a half ago, I came to Christ in college.
Yeah, so how did that happen? How did you go from no religion, no spiritual background, science, facts, feelings, which we still have, that is part of the Christian faith, we can do that, but you were not close to Christianity at all. So tell us, how did you end up hearing about Jesus and this gospel message?
Well, it was through my friend Brittany. I met her in college, and she was so full of the Spirit, which I didn't understand that's what that was, but I saw just something beautiful in her. She was just so happy and so content, and she loved just like everyone she met. And she talked to me about Jesus for a whole year, and I was like, you were wrong. I just thought, she's just kind of believing something else, that's fine. I'll just believe what I want to believe. But yeah, so eventually it got to the point where I was like, maybe this religion, maybe what she's following is what's giving her that hope and that love. So that's when I started going to Cru. And even then, that's when I started hearing the gospel, but it took me probably half a year to even start understanding anything fully.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm curious where it was for you that it came time, you heard enough about Jesus and you became convinced that he is worth giving my life to. What led to that?
I was going to Bible study. I had never been to a place where I was so vulnerable before, and so that was in my shell. But we went to this thing called Fall Retreat, which is something that Cru holds every year, and it's kind of like a weekend where you learn more about Jesus. They really focus on specific aspects about Jesus. The year I went, it was talking about who we are in Christ, and so through that I kind of gained relationships, and that kind of strengthened my faith, but also just learning about Jesus and specifically the worship. That is what really brought me, I don't know, to Christ, I guess, is like someone talking to me through music.
That's really sweet. And so it's been about a year and a half now. And so how has actually being a part of a campus ministry like Cru helped you grow? Like, so it's helped you come to faith, but even how has it helped you grow, and how have you seen God work through your life?
Yeah, so Cru has just completely like changed me as a person. Like if like a year and a half ago me could see me now, she would not believe that I existed. I'd be like, oh, you're Christian now, okay. But like, I don't know, I've grown so much in my faith that it's crazy. Like when I first started going to study, well, first of all, I'm a community group leader. So I've grown from going to community group to now leading it. And so seeing that growth, and now I'm going to spring break to Charleston, which she's leading. And so we're going to be sharing our faith on the campus in Charleston. So there's just like different ways that I've been able to use how my faith has grown and actually like help other people. So that's really big for me too.
That's sweet. Anything else you want to share with them this morning?
Just that things like Cru are really important, because if Cru hadn't been there, like my friend would have been there, but I wouldn't have had the space to, I wouldn't know God. I would not know God, okay? And it's just a huge deal. It's hard to understand when it's exactly like you said, when you're on campus, you're in your own world. So bringing God to that world is like so life-changing for so many people.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Rachel. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you. You want to put your thing up? Man, I'm not crying. It's fine. Thank you. Oh, all right. Well, I don't even want to say anything else. I'm like, that was just so sweet to hear what God is doing on campuses and the way that he's transforming lives. And it's really fun. We actually had an outreach on campus yesterday, and Rachel brought a friend from class and has been meeting with her and talking with her about the Lord. And there's just things like that where I think a lot of us think that to be disciples, to be missionaries, to be, proclaiming the gospel, you need tons of years of education and you have to know a lot of things. But really, I think about when Paul was talking to the Corinthians, and he was talking about like the way that he approached them. He said, I came to you. I didn't come with like wise words or persuasive speech. I came in fear and in trembling, but I didn't claim to know anything but Christ and him crucified. And we really believe that that's all we need to know is who Jesus is, and we just want other people to know him. And so that's what we want to trust God for at Ball State, that we want to see students who don't know Jesus to come to Jesus. And we want to train and equip them in how to walk with him, not just in college, but for the rest of their lives. And we want to help them learn how to make disciples, that as you're learning something, you can quickly say, I just read this. Have you read this? I just experienced this. Will you experience that? That you don't have to be, I feel like most of my life, the people that I mentor, I am maybe a step ahead in where I'm at, but basically not even. It's taking what we've learned and passing that down. 2 Timothy 2:2, it's all over. And so we are seeing God work. I wish I could tell you, I think we've seen 30 students come to Christ so far this year that we know of. A lot of them we find out years later that's what happened. But we're seeing, and my favorite part about this is we do have full-time staff that we're out and we're sharing our faith on campus, but most of the things that have happened this year are students that have been trained and equipped to share their faith with other students, with their classmates, with people down their hall, and we're seeing lives transform. And it's not stopping there, that we're seeing these students, they're transforming their life, and they're taking it to their classrooms. They're taking it to professors. They're taking it to their families. I don't know how many times I've met someone and they said, I came to Christ and I wanted to tell my mom. And it's been years, but my mom is now a believer. And whole family trees are changed because of that. That we see workplaces have honest, hardworking people, and the workplaces change, that our societies change, that we really do believe that from the campus, that God is going to be changing the world and sending people out to make disciples of all the nations. And God is at work. And so thank you for being a part of that. I also wanted to thank you personally for the cookies and the notes. I want to share with you a text that a student sent me the day Matt brought them. She said, This is so sweet and thoughtful of Northside Church. Matt thanked us for all we're doing. Did we do something for the church with 3 question marks? I was just wondering why they spent so much time making cookies for all of us. And I said, they wanted to bless you. They wanted to show love to you. And it just floored her that someone would be willing to do that. So know that that act meant a lot to the college students that we had. And so I wanted to encourage you that God is at work. So thank you for your prayers. Thank you for partnering with us. And I wanted to share with you, as a full-time missionary with Cru, it's my job full-time to get to meet with college students and to help them hear about who Jesus is. And so the way that I get to do that is by finding churches and individuals who say, I care about what God is doing on the campus, and I believe that God is working, and I want to be a part of that. And so I wanted to give you all opportunities this morning to invest even more in the college campus. And I actually outlined 4 different ways you can get, and I think there's actually on the ends of the pews, there should be some blue cards. So if you wouldn't mind just taking those and passing those down the row so that everyone has it, I would love to get in contact with you. But I wanted to share 4 ways that you can help. The first one is praying. I really believe that God works through prayers, that prayers are powerful things. And when I think about the spiritual battle that's happening on campus, I would be just really ill-advised to go to campus without an army of people praying for me and for our students for that spiritual battle. And so I have a prayer update that I send out once a month that tells you stories of how God is working and ways you can be specifically praying. So if you would like to receive that prayer update, I think there's a box you can check, so just write that out and you can check that box. And the second is to give. And so this is my full-time job. And the way that I get to use the best hours of my day is by the generous financial support of individuals and churches who say, I can't go, or maybe I'm not called to go, but I want to send you. And I say, I will go, send me. And so there are ways that you can become a monthly financial partner. I'm currently trying to raise $1,200 a month to meet all of the needs that I have. And so if that's something that you would be interested in, $100 a month, I would gladly want to partner with you. Also, one-time gifts. Like Rachel said, we're going to Charleston next week. It is a week from yesterday. I will have been in a car for a long time. So we have spring break trips like that, and I'm actually going to East Asia. We're going to be doing campus ministry in East Asia this summer for 6 weeks and sharing the gospel with many students who've actually never, when you say, have you heard of Jesus? They say, what is a Jesus? And we get to be the people that get to share the gospel there. So I'm excited about that, but I would love for people to send. So if you would be interested in hearing more or financially partner with me, there's a box you can check for that as well. Thirdly is connecting me with others. So this is something, some of you may not be in a position to give, and that's okay. But I had a friend who wasn't able to, but she gave me the names of 10 people she thought might be encouraged to hear about the ministry. And those people gave me some names. And she helped me raise $500 a month just through connecting me with people that she knew. And so that would be helpful, but not only just to give financially. I really love talking about what God is doing and help people get involved in the ministry. And so if you think people would be encouraged to hear, or if you would be encouraged to hear, I would love to get coffee with you or dinner with you. And then the fourth is to join us. Campus is just right over there. You've already been doing this, but we have this giant cookout at the beginning of the year. 1,000 students show up for free food. You can come and see just how fun it is with these college students. There's music, there's games, lots of free food. If you ever want to come to a Bible study or our weekly meeting, if you want to serve, college students really come for food. So anytime you want to give food or come be with us, you're welcome to come and see what we're doing. If you want to go on a mission trip with us, you are welcome to come on a mission trip. You could come to any of the mission trips we do. So those are just a few of the ways, but I just wanted to say thank you for being a part of what God is doing. Thank you for the way that you have served. And I know that you do it not just because it's the right thing to do, but because you understand how much God has loved you. So I will say, if you want, after service, if you want to fill that out and you can give me your blue cards, I'd love to talk with you more and share with you more about what God is doing. So I thought I'd just leave you today with the 2 verses that you have been looking at quite often, because I think they're really fitting. And it's 1 Peter 4:8, that above all, love each other deeply, because love covers a multitude of sins. And I think about what loving each other deeply looks like, and it's that sacrificial time and effort. So thank you for doing that. And then the second is John 15:12. My commandment is this: love each other as I have loved you. And so I wanted just to remind us all, because I think it's easy to forget, that God loves you, not because of anything you've done, not because of how great you've been, but because it's who he is. He loves you because you're yours. I had a friend that says he loves you because he loves you, because he loves you. So that I'm going to pray and we'll move on. So Lord, thank you so much for the ability to be here this morning. I thank you for the way that you have been working in and through young people, the way you've been working in and through churches and individuals everywhere. God, that you love us enough that you would give your life for us. God, I pray that you would help us understand what it really means to be your children, to be loved by you. God, I pray that you would continue to work in Northside and through Northside, to be your hands and feet, to experience your love. So Lord, thank you so much, and we pray all these things in your name. Amen.